ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। Loving Sairams to one and all, and hope every one of you had a wonderful, wonderful birthday celebration in the time that has gone by. And after a week's break from this Zoom Satsangh series that started during the COVID lockdown, we continue the same thanks to Swami's grace and thanks to Hari Anna bringing us wonderful Ratnas every week for us to be filled with all the happiness, reminiscing of the times that students had the wonderful company and guidance of the Lord in physical proximity and the subsequent lessons that they have learned. And today we have one more Ratna with us, and I'm going to leave Brother Hari Anna to say a few words and introduce our speaker for the day. Anna, over to you.
Sairam to all of you. And the introduction should be done by Sri Venkat, but certainly I'm privileged that I can say a few words on Anil Kumar ji. The very name Anil Kumar is a very powerful name. And this Anil Kumar, yeah. Yeah.
I'm not that. I'm a shadow. That's it.
No. You are not shadow. In fact, you are tree. Why I say this? There's, I'm not giving big titles to him because from my college days, I have seen both brothers, Dev Sen and Dr. Anil Kumar, growing up. So because of that, I am talking like an elder brother instead of praising so much. But certainly, I studied in Swami's college is one thing. I did very basic studies, and I never achieved anything. I never knew Vedas or not keeping quiet or anything. And this brother of mine, Anil Kumar, was a smiling, silent, and a great Vedic scholar in studies one side, another side regarding Veda side. And he was one of the foremost Veda boys in our whole history of college students and an authority on that. And imagine both Vyavaharika and Paramarthika, in both he was too good. So to see him, to say a few words about him, I am blessed, I should say. Swami has he has created Ratnas, one thing, but sometimes he creates, crest jewels. And I would think in my heart, Brother Anil Kumar is such a crest jewel amongst all of us. And not only he and his elder brother, his uncle, when we were studying, was the secretary of our Prashanti Nilayam. Later, Chakravarti Garu, Chiranjeevi Garu, all of them came. But first, efficient, selfless, hardworking person was Kutumbrao Garu. I still remember, such a great personality. And in that lineage, this, Dr. Anil Kumar is there. And today, Swami has given us Dr. Anil Kumar with us. And I am more than sure that Brother Anil Kumar will enlighten every one of us who are here today for this satsang. There is no limit to my bound of joy, or all the brothers who are here to listen to you, Anil, and also our Singapore, brothers and sisters, and everyone. They are wonderful, wonderful people. They are wonderful, wonderful people, and we are looking forward. May Swami, uh, bring such wonderful wisdom from your mouth today, so that we can all ruminate on that. And welcome, welcome, welcome on behalf of all of us. Thank you so much, Anil Kumar. Thank you.
Hey, Venkat, just a few things I wanted to tell about Anil.
Hero boy, definitely go ahead, please.
Yeah. No, Anil Kumar was amongst the first batch of people who started the Vedam chanting in Swami's colleges. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is Anil Kumar has spent his most of his higher education life, in Swami's institutions. He started with PUC, right, Anil?
Yeah, PUC.
Yeah. You started with PUC and then went on to do your PhD. And that's the other thing. The other thing is that Anil Kumar was also one of the first batch of research scholars, first batch of postgraduate students. And then also, I think you also taught for some time, right, Anil Kumar?
Yeah.
In
18 years.
Yeah, he was
18 years.
Yeah,
oh.
He was in Swami's proximity and under Swami's college for since PUC up to PhD and further. And then he was he was also taught. So he was there for Prashanti for 18 years.
30 years.
20 years.
29 years.
29
oh
years.
My God.
Looks like all of you entered with the fact that, come on, let me finish everything that is possible there. You're lucky. I don't see an MBA cross transfer in between or something like that.
No, all of us thought that we'll spend our last, up to our last this thing, in Puttaparthi. But main thing is what, the fact is that this whole Anil Kumar and his family, full, like Hari talked about his brother, but
Uncle,
his family was there in Puttaparthi. And then presently, I think Anil Kumar is with this Shapoorji Palaunji. I can't pronounce the full name. He's an advisor, a senior scientific advisor with that group. I guess Singapore people will know about this Cyrus Mistry. So he's now a scientific advisor there. Thank you so much, Arun, for coming and joining us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You completed what I was planning to read from, but you spoke from what you know, so that is better that way. So, sir, it's over to you for the next however long you feel like. So, we are here to listen. Sairam to you, sir.
Yeah. Sairam. At the very outset, Haryana Hirokji, really my feeling so happy seeing you here. Really, it's reminiscing the whole past. Tears filling up in the eyes. It's really wonderful seeing you all, and thank you for those kind words.
So just to let you know, sir, you have Lakshminarayan Kote.
Yeah, I'm seeing him, but I'm not. I think his audio is not yet connected.
You have
these were all Hariharan, Kote, Hirok. They were all like role models for me when I was growing up. I will go through that journey. Anyway, I plan to go through that journey today with prayerful pranams at the lotus feet of Mother Sai, who is the closest to all of us at all the times, and who is in every one of us at every moment of our existence. Om Ganeshaya Namaha, Saraswatyai Namaha, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Harihi Om. ॐ शं नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शं नो भवत्पर्यमा शं न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शं नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. So with prayerful pranams to Bhagawan and invoking and praying that he is amongst all of us during this satsang, and he makes his thoughts or his message come out through this instrument of his. What should I say? Where should I start? Because in fact, just before we started, I was just chatting with Venkatraman brother. Post-COVID, it has so happened, see his glory, that we are able, I think at any given point of time, during the 24 hours, there is satsang going on somewhere in some part of the globe, in some summit. But no two satsangs are the same. So imagine his glory. How much is his glory, and how many lives and millions of persons has he become a part of? How many families has Swami become a family member? How many lives has Swami touched, and he is touching and continuing to touch? See the glory really. When I used to initially, this was very common when we were in Brindavan. When I first audio, is it fine?
Could you get your
Can
mic
hear you.
closer? Yeah, that'll be better.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
we used to hear very often in all these talks, in summer course and various talks, that if Mother Saraswati starts writing, and all of the oceans become the ink, and all of the trees become the pen, and continues to write till the end of the time, and still the glory of God cannot be described, and all that, I used to think this was too much of a superlative and exaggeration. But seeing this post-COVID, I'm realizing that really that's how true it is. It's really not a statement that is an exaggeration. It is, in fact, an understatement, if you ask me, that the glory of Bhagawan is so enormous that it's never ending. We can go on like this satsangs, I think, for any length of time, 24/7 all the time. And still every satsang is enjoyable, because every experience is so sweet with the Lord. And so coming to my experience, my living in Brindavan, going to Brindavan and living there was a real blessing by Bhagawan, because Brindavan of those times was a very different, I don't know, I shouldn't say different, but was a Brindavan which what we read in Bhagavatam. Everyone used to live for Bhagwan. Each one, I used to look around when I was just trying to take myself back as a PUC 11th standard, 12th standard.
Bear with us. I think his internet is slightly.
In their own way, connecting to the Lord, engaging themselves with the Lord. And all these seniors, as I was just now telling you, Kote, Hero, and the singers, Rupa Sharma, then Sonam, the bhajans Bhagwan, that especially when Bhagwan used to act to be upset with all of us, and where we are not allowed inside the bungalow, those bhajan sessions then we used to have in the hostel were something I can't forget even now. And many a times I imagine how wonderful it would be if we can recreate those bhajan sessions. Because every individual sitting in the bhajan hall used to cry. And the bhajans were filled with so much of yearning. It was unbelievable. So this bhajans, music was one, though we weren't part of the music group per se, music was one way we were connecting deeply with our Lord. When we say music, it's not just the bhajans. In fact, all the songs which I got introduced to, most of the uh, bhajans and the bhakti sangeet in Brindavan, be it the Hariom Charan's bhajans, Anup Jalotas, or most of the bhajan songs or the devotional music. For example, even now I keep humming that. It has stayed with me forever. That song of Hariom Charan. ऐसा प्यार बहा दे मैया चरणों से लग जाऊं मैं सब अंधकार मिटा दे मैया दर्श तेरा कर पाऊं मैं ऐसा प्यार बहा दे जग में आकर जग को मैया अब तक ना पहचान सका अब तक ना मैं जान सका क्यों आया हूँ कहाँ है जाना ये भी ना मैं जान सका ये भी ना मैं जान सका तू है अगम अगोचर मैया तू है अगम अगोचर मैया कहो कैसे रख पाऊं मैं ऐसा प्यार बहा दे मैया. Like this, there were so many songs. Every song was so filled with that connect to the Lord. Or even that Anup Jalotas, जैसे भी है अब है साई हम तो तेरे हैं. These are all such wonderful gems, and these used to be played so commonly in Vrindavan. So bhajans, this music, and all the wonderful brethren who were there, was such a setup that we had no other, I would say, no other choice but to connect to him. If you see that way, right? So it was filled. The whole atmosphere was suffused with only one thought of connecting to Swami, going closer and closer to him. And how was Bhagawan? Bhagawan was also equally forthcoming. The way my first experience was such a means how sweet the Lord was to connect to each one of us. How he was breaking the barriers that we kept in our mind of approaching him. See, because before going to Bhagawan, because fortunate to me, for me that I was born in a very ardent, in a family which was ardent devotees even before my birth. They used to go to Bhagawan. My parents used to go to Bhagawan from 1950s. As Hariran brother mentioned and Hirok brother also mentioned, Kutumrao sir used to go from early 1950s. And he introduced Swami to our family. And so my father used to be going to Patti from much before when I was born. And so for us, from birth, Bhagwan was our Bhagwan. Swami was our Bhagwan, right? So all the same, when we used to go to Patti, almost every vacation we used to be there only, even during our schooling. But then Swami used to give interview. He was pretty close. Still, that distance was there. That God and a devotee distance was always there. I used to be scared of standing in front of Swami, especially Swami at that time. I'm sure elder brothers will be knowing. He had that Gambhiratva. When Swami used to come close, his face used to look as though it has expanded some 10 times more. He used to cover your whole, that face used to literally become multifold. And with that hair, of big, thick hair around, and chubby cheeks, literally chubby cheeks, dimple chin, and rosy lips, because Swami used to have pan at that time. And he was looking beautiful,
Exactly.
but was he was looking beautiful, but was Gambhiratma. He had both at the same time. It was very, it was not easy to even open our mouth and speak to Bhagawan. So with that kind of relationship, I had joined Brindavan. And so facing Swami, speaking to Swami, standing in front of Swami, all of those were things of where I used to fear. It was not that fear in a negative sense, but it was more of respectful fear, we say, no, bhakti, fear with bhakti. So that kind of fear was there. But Swami had his own way of breaking this. I think he has done this with every individual. So has he done with me. This experience is a very sweet experience. I mean, so in a very simple way, Swami did this. In Brindavan at those times, once the bhajans were over inside, that is in the bungalow, old bungalow, post the bhajans, there used to be prasadam distribution for the students and the guests. So I was being the junior most. I was given a bucket of mixture. Mixture used to be made in hostel, put in a bucket and sent there with newspapers, cut newspapers. We used to serve this spoonful of mixture in sometimes. Sometimes some devotee used to get some sweet from city that used to be the prasadam. But on this given to me, I was standing in safe room. Swami had finished the bhajans, came inside to bless the prasadam, and then sometimes
Ali, just tell about the safe room. I just tell about the safe room.
Okay, safe room. Safe room. The old bungalow was a amazing place. Actually, when we talk of old bungalow and it was Swami's residence. It wasn't Swami's mandir. There's a difference between mandir and residence, right? Now, Trai Brindavan is a mandir. Though it's a residence, it's still a mandir. Whereas old bungalow was a bungalow, wherein Bhagawan used to reside, and we used to reside along with him. It was almost like that. So, and the kind of, I think when we talk of old bungalow and old Brindavan, we should not, at least I cannot forget mentioning the beautiful floral decorations they used to make. Even now when I close my eyes, I try to picturize that many a time. As soon as Swami, that door above which Swami's photo used to be kept, in front of that door, beautiful circular floral rangoli used to be made. And sometimes Swami used to come and stand on that rangoli. It's a sight really. It was a wonderful sight to watch. Swami used to come and walk through. Swami used to not, many a times Swami used to not give too much attention to it, but sometimes, yes, fortunately, we used to see that Swami used to come and stand right in the center. And that was a sight really. And the whole atmosphere was filled with the fragrance of those beautiful flowers. Bangalore, you know, is a place where all these grow in abundance. So it was the floral scents and the samrani that I think Rajkumar Jain brother and others used to put in the mandir, in the bungalow. Put together, it was such a wonderful, one side was all this this kind of atmosphere, other side was the freedom with which we could go in. And this old bungalow had a bhajan hall. As soon as Bhagawan gets down from the staircase, it had a bhajan hall, a long one. And once we go inside, there used to be on the right-hand side a room wherein there was a big safe kept. So it used to be called the safe room. On the left-hand side was the inner interview room. Next to that was the outer interview room. So even inner interview room was wonderful. It was such a different feeling we used to get. And you go further, ladies, there used to be curtain and ladies used to be sitting on the other side of the curtain. This safe room was a very, very unusual place. A place where Bhagawan, Brindavan itself is Bhagawan's playground. And safe room was, I would say, his playground come fun ground. He used to have, he used to really come there to relax himself. That's what I used to feel, because there was just one sofa kept, nothing else was there. Bhagawan used to be sitting there, and boys standing all around with very few, because even the guests, very few guests were allowed inside even the safe room. They used to be in the bhajan hall only, standing there or outside. So that was a place. In fact, I will tell you what comes to my mind immediately is that there was a big mirror on the wall. I would say when we are facing the sofa, it was on our right side, the wall. There was a big mirror because it was a cupboard and mirror was there. Many a times I used to see Swami used to stand in front of the mirror, adjust his robe, adjust his hair, tuft of hair, and then before going for darshan to Sai Ram Shed, couple of times he used to ask. It was so simple. Was Bhagawan? He used to ask, "Is it okay? Is the back? There are no crumples of the robe at the back." Means as though he imagined the Lord walking out to give darshan where thousands are waiting there, and here he is asking us, "Is my robe?" But that was there to convey to all of us that this is how we should be. When we are facing somebody, we need to be presentable. Maybe that was a message Swami was giving us. At the same time, also a way to connect to all of us, not to create a distance between him and us. So coming back to this experience now, so safe Guru, I was standing with this bucket of mixture, and Swami came in. And that day, if I remember right, it was Gangadhar Shetty sir whom Swami started speaking to. As he was speaking, I was standing with this bucket in my hand. So I went close, almost very new to the whole setup. So I didn't realize Swami was speaking to somebody. I just, that has to be blessed and I have to serve. Only that was there in my mind. So I went ahead. So Swami looked at me, smiled, and just very casually, he pulled along at the rim of the bucket which I was holding. He held that rim and pulled it closer to him. So I went closer to Bhagawan and stood there. And what Swami did, he was talking to Gangadhar Shetty on his right side. Left hand, he picked up few of the groundnuts that were there. Fried groundnuts will be there in mixture, right? He picked up few of those and put it in his mouth. I saw that, and then I suddenly, very naturally, what I did, with another hand, I used that ladle to push the groundnuts which were below. I pulled them up. I just turned the mixture round. So a few more groundnuts came up. And Swami immediately took few more and put it in his mouth. This went on for, I would say, maybe a couple of minutes, 2 minutes, maybe to 1.5 minutes. Swami, it doesn't spend too much time on all this. 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. But then, no, this was, and then as he was taking, as he was going out, with a twinkle in his eyes and a smile on his lips, he conveyed the whole barrier, that Bhagawan and that fear, everything vanished. Because it was such a simple, sweet way. There was nothing spoken. It was such a simple, and then I realized, yes, we can offer like this to Bhagawan too. We don't need to, because all that we're made to think is that we have to offer in the best of the things in silver platter and all these things is what we are normally told right at home. Here I see I was holding a bucket, plastic bucket, literally a bathroom bucket actually, but then it's used for mixture. So let's not say that, but it was a simple plastic bucket and a ladle, a steel ladle. And I was just turning around the mixture, and Swami was picking up from top the groundnuts that were coming. And I was not even in a sense offering into his hand. He was himself picking up and eating. So this is the sweetness of the Lord. He ensured that every student who had gone to him could connect with him. There was never a time when he allowed a distance to come between himself and his students. That was a beautiful thing I observed all along. He had his various ways to reach out to each one. Each one's way, the way he broke the first. This was my first experience, in a sense, in Brindavan, wherein there was, and many a times I observed this with Bhagawan. The non-verbal communication is far more powerful than verbal communication. With Bhagawan, I observed this. With his eyes, he used to talk far more with his eyes than with his actual verbal conversation. So, and I'll just give you maybe a couple of examples. I'll take you right forward. Like once it just happened that during the Vedam time, the 2003 onwards, Darshan Vedam started. So we were sitting right in the front, and we used to be chanting Vedam during darshan time. And Bhagawan used to be coming from 2000, I would say 6, I think 6, yeah, 2005, 2006 onwards in the wheelchair. Before that, Swami used to come in golf cart and used to walk slowly. But 5, 6 onwards, he used to be in the wheelchair. So one day, Swami used to sit on the Kulwant Hall stage and listen to Vedam for hours together, literally. So as Bhagawan was sitting there, and I used to observe that the brothers who were behind Bhagawan, Acharya and Prishti and others, used to help Bhagawan in moving the robe which was coming in way of his feet, make him get up and all that. So just a thought occurred in my mind as I was chanting Vedam. Just a thought occurred in my mind, Bhagavan, I should also, how wonderful it would be if I also get an opportunity to serve you. If the robe is coming and troubling your feet, I should be able to take the robe aside. I was just thinking I should be able to serve you in that way also. And what happened? Instantly, see how Bhagavan responds in a very, very subtle but a quick way. It so happened that day, as Swami was sitting, Swami deliberately put his feet outside that railing. He made his feet come out. So these two brothers who were sitting at the back, they couldn't see what was happening. And with his eye, corner of his eye, he indicated to me to come and move the robe up so that he can stretch his legs. Thought occurred in my mind, response from Bhagavan, and no verbal conversation. It was through a contact of eye that Bhagavan conveyed, robe is obstructing my feet. I want to move my feet outside the railing. Come and remove. So I said, I ran, moved the robe aside, came back and sat. This is how Bhagavan is to, and this I observed many a times. In fact, maybe there's a lesson for all of us in this. During my hostel time, there's another, means how important it was to observe Swami all the time. Bhagavan conveyed in another way to me during the 1993, 92, 93, that time. Hostel, Bhagavan used to call very often. I was the faculty in college and hostel teacher. So Bhagavan used to call for so many various instructions out of his love. So one day, it was just before Diwali. Bhagavan called an interviewer. Darshan got over. Bhagavan went inside the interview room and called me. And then he said, who are going to burst the crackers tomorrow? What the list of the boys' names you tell me? Because only a few senior boys are selected for bursting the crackers, as we all know, for the safety purpose. So by that time, because we expected, we already made a list and kept. So I showed that to Bhagavan, and read it out. And then Swami said, as I was coming today from Darshan, I spoke to one boy. Akkada Mandiram Munduna ఒక పిల్లాడితో మాట్లాడాను చూసావా. Means as at the end, beginning of the mandir. Means for us, it is the end of the portico, right? I spoke to one boy. Did you see him? You include him also. Fortunately for me, I had observed that day whom Swami was speaking to. But then I then realized that day that this is how attentive we need to be if we have to serve him. There's a message for us actually. It was, when I sit back now and think about it, Swami wanted to convey, he used to do these conversations with his eye, quick conversations, quick messages, because I think Swami wanted to train all of us to have undiluted focus towards him. What focus we had towards his physical form, undiluted focus. If we are able to gain that focus now, I think life is made. That focus is that undiluted focus, because this is how Swami used to expect. I observed when we were, I'm sure all my elder brothers know this. He wanted this undiluted focus. He used to train people around to have this undiluted focus at him, at the way, every act that he was doing, because I think that is what will is needed for reaching him finally. So this is a very subtle message, but this was and it had its sweetness. Because the non-verbal thing had its own sweetness so much, because it used to connect us far more deeper with him, because only the individual who is getting that message knows it, and no one else knows it, right? I'll tell you another simple, beautiful experience. Every thought, the beauty with our stay with Bhagawan was that every good thought used to be responded to. Every small act of, should I say, sadhana, so-called sadhana, was responded with a reward immediately to show that yes, you go ahead further, sort of a thing. So in Brindavan, they were in both in college and hostel too. There were some few rooms which are empty. So at that time, we had the garden room at the basement. Next to garden room was empty, and then fortunately for us, the then assistant warden Lakshmi Narasimham sir gave us that room and said, "You do puja. Who each one individual sadhana you can do, sort of a thing." So myself, I think Ramakrishna, Mayur Pandya, all of us had our own corners in that room, our own altars. We used to go at different times so that we don't disturb each other, and whatever puja or dhyanam we were wanting to do, we used to do. And I just started. It was a very, very small effort on my side, and instantly Bhagwan responded. And how was it? I had a photograph, and that photograph also I had taken from Brindavan only, kept it there. That photograph there, Bhagwan was standing in that photograph, putting his hand in old bungalow in the bhajan hall that I was mentioning. At both corners of bhajan hall, there was a carving, a tree trunk on which a peacock was perched. I hope you seniors remember Hirok. You may be remembering Hirok, Hariharanana. No? There was a tree trunk, and then a peacock was perched on it. And this photograph was Swami standing, putting his hand on the tree trunk and giving a pose. I think I have that photograph. I'll just show you the photo before I go further. That was the photo which I had kept in my altar. Yeah, how do I show it here? Yeah, this is the photo.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Correct.
Yeah,
so that's the tree trunk. The peacock is not seen now, but this was the photograph that I had. Okay, and so I used to look means do so-called worship to it, whatever little I knew about it, and then give arati. One day, Bhagwan had come to Brindavan just after I started this, and he in that visit of his, he had gone to a city for some visit, and Bhagwan came back. By the time Swami came back, it was around 11:30, 12, and some of us who had no classes ran back, and we were all standing there. Swami suddenly was going into the staircase. He stopped and he said, "Give arati." So when Swami says give arati, there was immediate running around, and some senior boys brought the arati plate, and then and just everything as though it happened by chance. They put the arati plate in my hand and said, "You give arati." And what Swami did, because Swami was just before the entry into the staircase room, Swami was just standing exactly almost near the sculpture. He put his hand exactly in the same way as though he was giving a pose, stood and took arati, and then again with his eyes and with the corner of his eyes, he looked at me, smiled, and went into the staircase room and went upstairs. Again, a simple way, but then a profound message. I'm there receiving what you're doing, because it's something which is mind-boggling. How can it ever happen that Bhagwan again gives the same pose and takes the arati in the same pose? So that is the way to convey. I know what you are doing. You continue doing. I am with you, right? So this was the sweetness of the Lord. This was that is why life with Bhagavan at every moment was a continuous joy, because this was the way Bhagavan used to respond. It was both instantaneous as well as absolutely thrilling, sweet and thrilling in its very essence. So that's how Bhagavan used to every thought. Another thing is coming to my mind now as I was mentioning. Every thought, a good thought, was immediately responded to. Like in M.Sc, when I was doing my M.Sc in Puttaparthi, Bhagavan at that time, before the results are announced, semester end results, Swami used to call out boys who had got O grade and give namaskar. And Swami used to very proudly call out these boys, not inside interview room or somewhere. He wanted all the guests and the devotees and everyone to see my students, how nicely they are studying. Right? So he used to do it right in the portico or inside, between the portico and the devotees' line. So that day I was sitting inside in the portico, somewhere where it is behind Samadhi Mandir right now. That area I was sitting. And Swami had finished the gents round of darshan. Bhagwan had come there, not even entered the portico. He was quite at that point. He called out and he said, boys, results have come, postgraduate results have come. And he started calling out names and saying, you got O grade, take namaskar, you got O grade, take namaskar. So I was sitting there, I realized this was going on. In my mind, I just prayed to Bhagwan, Swami, how nice, how good Swami is. This semester also, Swami is blessing all the boys who have put so much extra effort that they have got a O grade. I'm so happy for them, Swami. Instantly, I hear, K.Anil Kumar, come, you also got a O grade. I immediately ran, Tisco, namaskar. I took namaskar. But after the results came, I realized I did not get a O grade, right? But then this response, this namaskar was not for the O grade that I got in the academics, but for the good thought that I had at that point of time and the joy that I felt when others were getting that blessing. So that is how Bhagavan so then I realized, okay, the O grade was for my thinking in a right way, right? So the O grade and the namaskar that was bestowed on me was because I was thinking in the right way. So this is how very subtly, very quickly Bhagavan is to convey no good thought was left unblessed. So was no bad thought left unpunished. That was also equally true. If we are having any, like I'll tell you one, means no, he was never, what should I say, never wanting or never keeping himself away from teaching us a lesson. This was another beautiful experience I had in my first year degree. How Bhagavan is to teach constantly. Living with him was constant training, continuous training. It was in every aspect of life. So these were the times in 1981 when devotees, those were called for interview. The gents used to be sitting in the upper portico where later Vice Chancellor Sir and others used to sit right in front of interview room. And the ladies used to be sitting under the window in the interview room. So Bhagwan had called some family for interview, and he was giving darshan was going on. The devotees who were fortunate that day were sitting. The gent's father was sitting on this side, and the mother on the lady's side, facing boys. And there was one small kid, very cute boy. He used to sit in father's lap and say, mummy chahiye, and run to mother. And sit in mother's lap and say, papa chahiye, and run to father. So it just happened, watching this small boy, I started laughing. So this was the incident, right? Bhagwan finished his rounds of darshan. I still can't forget that. That's why I said that Gambhiratvam. Swami came with that letters, straight in his hand. From darshan, he straight walks up the portico straight to me and then starts blasting. Don't you have sense? Don't you have buddhi? What have you learned? I was absolutely shocked. What have I done? What is the mistake? Then Swami said, don't you know you should not smile or laugh in front of ladies? In front of ladies whom you don't know, why should you smile and laugh? Don't you have this basic manners? What a lesson it was. But then such small mistake of means how to behave, what is the etiquette of behavior in public, in front of ladies, in front of elders. Constantly, Bhagawan never missed out an opportunity to teach. And a mistake done that way, instantly Bhagawan came and he reprimanded. In fact, the Swami's face was so, eyes were so red and face was so flushed up. I got scared. I thought I might be even, because at that time the most common thing was pampichese, means throw him out. That was very common. If he upset Bhagwan, guys used to be thrown out of the hostel. So I was that scared. Will this lead to something of that kind of consequence? So much so, the later part is I fell sick. In fact, a couple of days I had a temperature came. That was the kind of intensity with which Swami reprimanded. So a negative, a wrong thought, or should I say a wrong behavior was never means he used to either show it by coming and telling physically, or again by ignoring. Ignoring was also a way of treatment, was also a way of making us correct ourselves. And so this life with Bhagwan and life with all the brothers in Brindavan and Parthi was such, because even in Parthi, in fact, all the faculty who are there right now, whether in institute or in hospitals, each of them were such, during their student times also, were such wonderful role models. So it was everywhere we look around, we used to feel there's something to learn, something to imbibe, something means there was always a lesson of how to connect and how to engage with Bhagwan. So this was the life. In fact, I don't know whether we can mention this, because I used to mention this when as a faculty, and my students used to really wonder, can anyone be living like that? In Brindavan, I remember we used to sometimes there were a set of students, many of them I would say, who used to write exams to fail, not to pass. Okay. I remember my first year degree chemistry, I wrote only half the paper, because the aim was not to pass but to fail. Because if we failed, Bhagwan used to bless those students during, at that time that was the trend, with the door duty opportunity. Means you go even closer to Bhagwan rather than being away from Bhagwan, right? So this was before the, of course. See, Swami had one more thing I observed very clearly with Bhagwan. Till the institute came, Swami never gave excessive importance to academics. Once he became the chancellor, we used to always make this means keep talking among ourselves about this. Once he became chancellor, he was very particular about attendance. He was very particular about academics and everything that goes with it, with all the academics, right? So I think to show how a chancellor should be functioning. But till that time, Swami was never. In fact, we used to. This is. I may not be mentioning in the public forum, but then because it's coming in the flow, we used to not attend some of the classes when Bhagwan was in Brindavan, and Swami used to never point out, don't you have a class? Why are you not going? It was never pointed out till Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning came in and the college got affiliated to Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. So once that came, Swami's immediate question was, don't you have classes? Why are you not going there? So this kind of chancellorship took over Bhagwan's play with his students. So this was, so he was, we do not give attention to the academics was a thing which was so common in Vrindavan. Because the attention was how do we go closer to Bhagawan, how do we spend time with Bhagawan, so much so that everything else was secondary. So that was the kind of beautiful life that he bestowed all of us with, which we could live through fortunately during that period. And also to add to this were all the senior devotees who were, each one of them was an epitome of devotion and sacrifice. Be it Rama Brahmam, they had their fun side, they had their devotion side. So it was wonderful interacting with these elders. So the life was, it's something, it was heavenly. A simple word I have to put it, it was heavenly, living life with Bhagwan and all the his playmates who were there at that point of time. So that was Brindavan. Coming to Parthi was still the same, I would say. It was no way different. Only thing, the academics and the official academic activity became far more rigorous, but all the same attention was Bhagwan, and the life was revolving around Bhagwan, and the interactions, everything was, I would say, nothing for Bhagwan, nothing is a limitation. Nothing can come in between his will, and if he wants to shower love, and no amount of uh, what should I say, hurdles can ever be can stop that flow. So that was so Bhagwan was, I would say, the setting was different. His love was the same, and um, his interaction with all of us was with, at least as I have observed, it was only increasing rather than in any way decreasing. But then he was slowly taking us. I observed one thing with Bhagwan, in like in the Arati that Swami had written, Mata Pita Guru Daivamu, Mariyanta Unive. He is all of this at the same time to all of us, but at the same time, he actually took us stepwise from one relationship to the other, from mother to father. That's why we used to have one a very standard pattern that you could see was, initially a devotee or a student was very close to Bhagwan. Slowly, the devotee is not as close. Someone else becomes closer. This devotee starts moving back. If you see Bhagwan's life itself, initially it was Path Mandir, it was his classmates. Then it was the Path Mandir devotees. Then it was the Ashramites. Swami used to give so much importance, separate discourses, spend time with the Ashramites at that time. Then came the Sevadal and the devotees, the organization. Then came students. So it kept slowly, one started, and even among students, there was always a flow. And if I look back, I think the flow was not a flow in that sense, but with each one of us, he connected as mother initially, then as father, took us to the level of father son, then as guru disciple, then as God and a devotee, so that we feel him everywhere, we know he is everywhere. So that is, so initially this looks like distancing, but actually it's a path, it's a journey towards trying to become closer internally with him. Mother child relationship is very, very physical. Though it's deeply emotional, it's very physical still. Father child relationship is not as emotional, becomes little more wisdom oriented. Guru disciple is far more wisdom oriented, and devotee God is seeing him everywhere, feeling him everywhere, trying to connect to him everywhere. Right? So this is Mata Pita Guru Daivamu. The reason Swami gave that sequence in Arati is so that uh, that is the journey that he puts each devotee with him through. He initially connects as mother, as the closest for each one of us, then slowly starts making us understand the nuances of how to reach him, guides us all along, and then that is the reason why it's not that Swami has left anyone. See, if we see that way, many a times I used to wonder, especially I used to be living in East Prashanti. My father had a room there, so we used to be living there. And I used to observe that East Prashanti were one of the old devotees of Bhagawan. All the residents, all the house owners were the Pathamandir devotees. And I used to see when we were students and we were getting all the opportunities near Bhagwan, these devotees used to come, sit in devotees line and then go back. Each one of them, like Raja Reddy or Dasharatha Ram Reddy, and so many of them were once upon a time closest to Bhagwan, went with Bhagwan to all the Badri trip or whatever, any trip you mentioned, they were there around, right? So such people, I used to look at them and wonder, what is this? How are they still being able to feel the same connect with Bhagwan? Because we were very physical at that point of time. So then I realized that this is a journey that he puts each one of us through. He, because that unless he comes close enough, unless he breaks the barriers that we have kept in our mind between him and us, like I remember his teachings were so, means the profoundest teachings used to be in most simple of the manner. I just remember one thing now. This was in my research time. I just in the afternoon one day I just went off to Mandir, and because we used to be most of the time around Mandir, and because sometimes Swami used to come from on the upstairs between 1:32 to 3 o'clock. So I was standing there, and so happened that day. I think it was before birthday times or Dasara times. I don't remember the time exactly, but that time the Mandir silverware was getting polished inside the bhajan hall. So no one was allowed. The all the photographs, the Shirdi Baba photo and Swami's photo were taken off. The idol was taken off, and the whole silverware was getting polished. Only polishing people were inside. The workers were inside. I sneaked in from the back door. I went in and I was watching what was happening. And to my luck that day, Bhagawan came down. He came into the bhajan hall to see what was happening. This means to observe and guide the silver polishing. And so, because Bhagavan came, I moved to the side, and next to me, I was standing on the near the wall. Next to me was Swami's that photograph in altar, full-size standing photograph. All of you know this, right? That famous photograph, Swami standing with his hands cupped at the back. That was right next to me. So I was standing next to that photograph. Swami went around, spoke to those workers and the manager there, and then smiling came towards me. Swami looked so wonderful, and this is an instant I can't forget, because next to me was a life-size photograph of him, and in front of me was the Lord himself. So exactly, he was right in front, and next to me on my left-hand side was Bhagavan's portrait. And Swami very, very with a twinkle, he asked me, "Who is there in that photograph?" Yavarunnar photo, Swami asked. And what do we say? He knows it that he is himself there. And so I said, "Swami, Mire unnaru." Yavarunnaru, Swami asked once again. Second time when Swami asked, I had no answer. Then Swami hit me on my head like this, tapped me here, and then went ahead and then said, "Nuvve unnavra, you are there," and walked inside the bhajan hall. Means it's such a profound, I don't know, even now when I keep thinking about it, what a profound message, how casually Bhagavan conveyed it. Means in such a simple way Bhagavan conveyed it. He didn't take time to say, no, I am there. you are my devotee. No, nothing like that. You yourself are there. So that is the level to which he wants. That's where I said, no, Mata Pita Guru Daivamo. That is the journey. You finally, you have to reach that goal. And so he very gradually he takes, and the way he conveys that message also is so sweet, right? This is an occurrence which no, in such a simple way, Bhagavan made it. Similarly, another day, this is even more profound. Actually, one day, Bhagavan, this was again during my lectureship time, 1990s. This is Bhagavan called and gave the Vibhuti basket and said that some devotees are sitting outside. You distribute Vibhuti and come back. So I distributed, came back. By the time Swami was inside interview room, so I went in to keep the basket of Vibhuti there. And just then, as I kept there, took namaskar and got up, Omkaram started in the bhajan hall. And Swami looked at me as I was getting up and said, you know what is Parabrahma Tattvam? Do you understand what is Parabrahma Tattvam? First of all, we don't understand. I have absolutely no idea. So I just looked at Swami. Swami said, a very profound truth. Later on, my father explained to me in detail. Swami said, the Nishabdam, the silence between two Omkarams, is Parabrahma. The silence between two Omkarams is true Parabrahma Tattva. I happy that Bhagavan gave opportunity. Our thinking goes that way, right? At that point of time, I came out that evening. I went and told my father this is what happened. Swami said this. Then father said it's most profound of the truths, because it is the in Vedam, in Taittiriya Upanishad, it is said, so kamayata bahusyam prajayeti, means he desired. This is what Swami wrote in his letter to the Brindavan students. I wanted to love myself, and therefore I separated myself from myself. So that desire to love himself, so kamayata, saha kamayata, he desired. There was still energy, and that desire was a vibration. And that vibration is Omkara. So when that vibration becomes still, absolutely disappears, what remains is that supreme state of eternal divinity, which is the Parabrahma. So this is what, if you have to understand in our own terminology, that is where between two thoughts, thought is a vibration. Every thought is a vibration. If we are able to reduce our thoughts, become thoughtless, we reach the Parabrahma stage. Because it is the thoughtlessness, amanaska, which Swami used to tell, is another way to say that between two Omkarams is the Parabrahma. The Omkarams come and cover up that Parabrahma Tattva. The thought comes and covers up the Parabrahma. So his teaching was from the simplest of things of how to behave in front of women to the most profound of the truths were done in a seamless manner, in the same sweet manner all along. Right? So this is between two Omkarams is Parabrahma Tattva. Between two vibrations or two thought, between a thought and another thought, the stillness that comes between two thoughts is the Parabrahma Tattva. Right? So this is how, because Omkaram, it's the whole thing happened in such a way that Omkaram started in Bhajan Hall and I happened to be there. So that is how immediately we connect. So Omkaram is going on, and therefore Swami said this to me, right? But then it's a profound truth, a Upanishadic. Actually, Mandukya Upanishad speaks about this extensively. So it was a Upanishadic truth conveyed in one of the most simplest of terms, so that something can get inside the head of a commoner. So this is how, means the beauty of his of living with Bhagawan was how Swami was teaching all kinds of things. Actually, I don't know whether I can say this, but it will help everybody, because COVID time, I think I should tell this. It's the most trivial of things that Bhagawan doesn't mind teaching. Oh, this is a little trivial, so I request your pardon. See, I had one problem when I was growing up, especially in Brindavan, because it was dry weather. Though it was cold, it was dry too. So there used to be irritation in the nose. So many a times I used to dig in my nose and put my hands and dig in my nose. So this was looking pretty ugly. I wanted to come out of this habit, but it was a habit which was constantly became a part of my system. And so I used to wonder how is it that we can keep the nose clean? A very, very trivial thought, right? So, but see, the reason is I'm mentioning this is because how loving Bhagavan is. So one day, this was in my lectureship time, myself and Vijay Kumar sir, who's the head of the Department of Biosciences now, we both had to go to Delhi for a presentation for a project. Bhagawan was in Brindavan. So we came from Parthi. In the morning, we reached early in the morning to Brindavan. We wanted to convey to Bhagawan that we had come. So we went in to give a letter. So as we are going inside this tribe Brindavan, Swami's residence, the bedroom and bathroom comes right on the top. So as I was going at that time, we heard some sounds in the bathroom, the water sound. So I thought Bhagavan was taking his bath at that time. So I stood there and chanted Rudram for a while, because that's the best way of doing Abhishekam to the Lord. So I started chanting Rudram there, right, for a while, because as students, no one disturbs us. We can stand down and Swami was upstairs. So I chanted Rudram for a while. And then as I was chanting Rudram, I started hearing the clearing of the nose so many times, right? So Swami was cleaning his nose. Okay, that was a casual occurrence. It got recorded in my mind, and I moved on, went towards the dining room, gave the letter, and then came back. So in morning after darshan, Swami came to us and blessed us to go to Delhi. And as I took namaskar and got up, Swami said, "Mukku snanam chesappudu chiduko." Chiduko means in Telugu means clean. So you need to clean your nose when you're having your bath. Actually, a very, very important simple trick, because what happens when we are having bath, warm water falls on our nose. After that, I have experienced this. This is the whole logic behind it. So because of that, the nose becomes soft. And at that time, if you breathe out with pressure, the whole nose gets properly cleaned. And I'll tell you, the reason I'm mentioning this right now, though it is trivial, is because during COVID times, if all of us just do this one thing of cleaning our nose during bath properly every day, we will not be falling victims to COVID. Because COVID, one of the most active site where the virus gets stuck is called the ACE inhibitors, ACE2, right? Not the inhibitors, sorry, the ACE. So the ACE2 receptors are there in large numbers in our nose. So if anything gets stuck there, and if you are able to clear our nose regularly, that's one of the simplest ways to keep ourselves healthy. So the most trivial, you can see the love of the Lord. It's this most trivial of things is not trivial for him to teach us, right? Reaching up till the most profoundest of things. That was and is the Lord. So that's how Bhagavan connects to each one of us. That's how Bhagawan conveys his message, his love in so many ways. And yet another beautiful instance. This I have quoted a number of times, but this is again equally sweet way that Bhagavan teaches us. Sometimes when we become means in every way he corrects us. This was during the Vedam time. Bhagavan was at that time 2003 to 2007. There was no set pattern in the sense we will chant Rudram in the morning, Rudram Namakam Chamakam followed by Purusha Suktam. In the Monday we'll chant Rudram, Tuesday we'll chant Ganapatataram Shisham. There's no such sequence. Bhagavan is to come and sit and sometimes sit for a long time, sometimes sit for a very short time. So we had to adjust as per Bhagavan's darshan times. So we used to be randomly picking up the mantras across Upanishads, Suktas, whatever we know, our full gamut of Suktas that we knew. We used to manage. We wanted Bhagavan to sit and for longer and longer time and keep giving darshan to everyone, and also give us an opportunity to chant in front of him. So that was the only goal. So that is the reason why, if you observe during that time, between suktas, Om Shanti, we removed. We used to chant one suktam after another suktam as though it's a continuation. So all kinds of modifications we brought in at that time, just to ensure that Bhagavan continues to sit on the stage and continues to chant, continues to listen to us. So it was during that time that, because we had to quickly think which one to, which suktam or which mantram to be chanted after which other mantram that gets over, right? And this had to be adjusted based on surroundings. What I mean surroundings, if suppose it was Thursday and Sunday, the primary school children will come, right? And therefore, Swami likes everyone to be chanting, especially children should also be chanting. And at that point of time, they knew very little very few mantras, mantra pushpam, little of Rudram, very little of Purusha Suktam, Narayan Suktam, so something like that. So these are not sufficient to keep Bhagavan sitting on the stage for a long time. So we had to play around. One mantram which they know, so they also chant along with us. Immediately take another mantram which they don't know. Then immediately after that, take a mantram which they know. So this way, make Swami also get in physically, so-called, make Bhagavan get involved with the chanting, make him feel happy, and make him stay there for a longer time. So all these kinds of things we had to quickly think. So myself and Vednan sir came up with an idea that so list of all the mantras that we knew, we had typed it out. So I used to have that paper below on the floor. So as soon as one mantram gets over, I used to, watching all this, I used to choose another mantram. I used to think I was choosing. Right now, let me tell it that way. So I used to choose something, and when I used to see that, and then he used to take the lead of starting the next mantram. Right. So this is how it was going on. Even when Swami was sitting, this is what we were doing. And Swami used to observe this, that this is how it was going on. So and after a couple of months of this, I started feeling I was like the Vedam DJ, doing a great job making Swami happy and making everyone happy. So I was getting little egoistic, so-called. Means I know so many things, how well I'm able to combine things one with another. So all kinds of things, the human mind starts thinking and imagining. So this was going on, and I used to go to North Indian canteen for having my lunch during those times. So one of those instances, I went to North Indian canteen for lunch. I was standing in the line. Behind me were father, son devotees who were also standing, and the son very casually mentioned to father, "I am so thrilled today, father. I cannot express how happy I am." So father asked him, "What is the situation? What's the blessing you have got?" He said, "See, I knew only Meda Suktam. That is the only Suktam I knew, and I was praying deeply that I wanted to chant this in front of Bhagavan's physical presence. When Bhagavan was sitting on the stage, I wanted to chant this mantram. So I wanted the Vedam group to take Meda Suktam. We just arrived there, and I sat down and I was praying, Swami, it has to be Meda Suktam. And I tell you, Father, the next Suktam was Meda Suktam." Okay, so this was their conversation. Suddenly, I took the plate of food, sat down there, and then struck me, this man prayed to Bhagawan and Bhagawan moved my hand and made it Meda Suktam. Otherwise, how do I know what is Meda Suktam, right? That someone is praying. Then I realized, my God, what I am thinking, that I am deciding there which suktam has to be chanted after which suktam. I'm a fool. It was being done by him. I am only being used as just an instrument. My hands are being moved by him. My everything. So this is, it was such a one side, it was such a thrilling experience. Other side, it was such a humbling experience too. I suddenly realized I'm going completely wrong, thinking that I am doing some DJ activity there. Was complete, means no, going completely off track. It's Bhagwan who is doing. He is listening to prayers of various individuals at from across Kulwant Hall or maybe across the globe, and he's responding and making us act only. We are just instruments. We are just making. He's getting the things done as he wants. That was so. This is the beauty of the way he teaches us. It was not that Swami called me and he said, why are you thinking too much about yourself? This is not the way you should behave. None of those things. A very, very nice, sweet way of conveying the message that you are not the doer. I am the doer and you are just an instrument in my hands. So this is the subtlety and the beauty of living with Bhagwan. And this is what I think even now all of us experience, the continuous experiences. The other day I was listening to Neil brother. He was telling how money, when there was a crunch in the hospital and suddenly flowed. We just have to just close our eyes and call out to him and he responds. That's all. We just have to, that's all is the distance between us and him. There's no distance actually, right? So that's the fortune that we all have of having come to Bhagavan. Really, one important change that comes to all of us when we have come to Bhagavan is that we now relate to God. God is no longer a distant reality sitting somewhere in the heavens, and we get to see him after we leave the body, and all that kind of stuff doesn't exist. He is a living reality, moment to moment. He is available all the time. At any point of time, he is constantly available. All we need to do is just maybe close our eyes and just call out to him. So that's the beautiful relationship that he creates for each one of us, each and every devotee, each and every student, everyone who comes to him. So the fortune that we have had, all of us, all devotees, is immense, because this seed of loving God, this seed of relating to God, this seed of engaging with God is sown in our hearts by his love. So this is what I thought I would share with you all. So,
Yeah.
The biggest takeaway is that silence between the two Omkarams. That's been
Yeah.
absolutely profound for today, and also just the sheer thought and how he responds. I think the simple message, but it is it's a conviction that if we have, then it'll help us connect. And the Mata Pita was just amazing. I mean, the form to form, formless connectivity that establishes our connection with him over a period of time. It was profound.
मुझे दर्श दिखा भगवान, मुझे दर्श दिखाओ भगवान, हे साईनाथ Bhagawan. He Sainath Bhagavan. Darshani Bhagavan. तुम जानत सब अंतर्यामी आ आ तुम जानत सब अंतर्यामी दियो मेरे प्रभु अमृतवाणी तुम जानत सब अंतर्यामी दियो मेरे प्रभु अमृतवाणी तुम हो मेरे आत्मा राम बाबा तुम हो मेरे आत्मा राम बाबा पूर्ण करो मेरे मन की काम बाबा पूर्ण करो मेरे मन की काम बाबा दर्शन दिखाओ भगवान दर्शन दिखाओ भगवान दर्शन दिखाओ भगवान भगवान भगवान
Wow, 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 wow.
Thank you.
Khote.
My God. Kote.
My God,
Too
Khote.
good.
Khote. What is this, man? You are taking us to different plane. Anil, your satsang. Sairam. See, because of your satsang, we are able to hear the greats of Kote, and we can hear all these people because of you.
Anil spoke so well.
Yeah.
So well, Anil, you were so much from the heart, Anil, so much from the heart and so much insight. Beautiful.
Yeah.
We can't thank enough.
Can I
So
add
nice,
something?
Anil.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Yes,
sure.
yes.
Yeah, actually, these Anil Kumar, Neil, Ramakrishna, then few others, Gopal, I think. No, they were all waiting outside bungalow, just downstairs, waiting for Swami to go inside. And they would call me, ask me whether Swami has gone inside. Then they will ask for prasadam. Whatever is left over in the Swami's plate, they used to ask me to get it for them. And it shows how much love they had for Swami and how much devotion they had for Swami.
And,
So nice, so nice. You spoke so well, Anil.
And
Thank
Anil,
you, Kote.
Anil, I'll tell you one thing. What the amount of profound lessons that you gave, is too much.
Oh no,
Okay.
come on. Nothing.
Yeah, really.
Yes, yes.
So much of, yeah. Go ahead.
Neil has
Dr.
Neil.
Neil.
Nice to see Neil.
Hey,
Dr. Neil.
Neil. Hi, Neil.
Definitely, we have to let Brother Neil speak, because after the last satsang, somebody made a remark that in 3 years they heard him speak for 5 minutes. So, I said, that's progress. Yes, Brother Neil.
That credit goes to Haryana. Credit goes to Haryana.
Yeah.
Your knowledge.
Really?
Satsang brought all of us together actually.
Yeah. Venkat and Hari, you guys are really praiseworthy for getting all of us together.
Yes.
No, all of us are praiseworthy. All of us. Nobody is individually.
See, we can always call, but every Sunday for you to log in and be there, I think that's the love you have for him and the love that we have for him. I mean, the commonality that is there. And I think the lessons that we have been learning is absolutely profound. We start.
Hello, Venkat.
Yeah, Sairam Anna. Yes,
Hello,
sir.
Sairam. Ravi Shankar here.
Sairam sir.
Sairam, to all of you.
Sairam sir.
I want to tell all of you that I am visiting Brindavan every week.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
Really. So
I remember
very sweet boy speaking very sweetly. Anil Kumar.
Yeah.
So,
Anil is very sweet.
very sweet.
Ravi Shankar sir.
Tell me.
No, just last week we were remembering na 1983 World Cup. You
Yeah.
took Sonia.
Yes,
That
in my house. I know.
We were just talking about it in our group last week only.
Oh, okay. So nice. Sairam, thank you.
Sairam.
Keep this correction going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brother Venkat, Brother Hariharan, all of you, all of you are really helping me also.
Can I tell you one small story about that? About that sadhana room which Anil Kumar was talking about, na? There was that sadhana room, garden room, where Anil, Ramakrishna, even Raghavendra Prasad.
Mayur.
Yeah. So once what happened was that room had so much of spiritual energy. What happened was once when Ramakrishna did Aarti, he put the camphor in his hand and burned it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He was at that time he had that kind of feeling. He used to give Aarti in his hand.
And everybody was saying, how did you get this injury in your palm? And he kept it a secret for a long time. But of course, some of us knew. And even today, I tell him every time, that I'm going to tell the secret of this. And he put the camphor on his own palm and did Aarti, Anil, one more incident you remember in that old Kalyan Mandapam, where they used to keep all those grains after harvesting those wheat grains. So on that early morning, 4 o'clock, Raghavendra Prasad had started this sadhana thing. People used to go and meditate there. And when we used to sit there, sometimes I used to not go regularly, but sometimes, and there used to be rats also roaming, and you could sometimes feel them nibbling on your toes.
We had all kinds of fun. One Shivaratri, I remember we wanted to do this whole night Rudra Parayanam with Homam. Okay. So there was no place. So we went into that hostel dome is there, no? We went under the dome. A small opening is there, and we sat and what to put. So we purchased camphor and went. And after we finished the night and came out, each of us were fully black because the suit had nowhere to go out. We were completely filled with complete black with some ice scene. All kinds of fun we had, really.
A quick one. We have someone here celebrating his birthday. If he shows himself up, you will know who it is.
Yeah.
Play song for him.
Yeah.
I think after Kote brother song, I don't feel like
stop this and just sing, and we'll finish with Samastaloka after that. Oh, no, please.
Very long, Venkat, maybe little part of that only.
We will say the happy birthday only after you sing, Satya. Yeah.
That should be good enough.
Very nice.
Sairam. Beautiful wordings also.
Yeah, the
lyrics
wording
also very good, man.
Sister here from Singapore.
Yeah. Hey to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Satya. Happy birthday to you. May the Lord Sai bless you. May the Lord Sai bless you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Lots and lots of love and blessings from Swami. Satya, you sing excellently. You really move us.
It's really a blessing, and every Sunday we are having this blissful experience, and lots of learning. Hope we can start practicing some of those.
Yeah.
We are also blessed.
And I just want to let you know how Swami flavors the satsang according to the person who needs it for that day. So today it had all the ingredients. We had K.Anil singing. We had Brother Anil Kumar speak about Vedam. Incidentally, all of us, the little that we know, has all been taught by Brother Satya to all of us here. So the classes still continue. So everything that he connects to Swami, I think all that has come in today's satsang, and which is why I say every week the customizer is way up there, and there is an instrument delivering the customized message. So with that, Brother Anil Kumar, thank you so very much, and thank you all of you for joining.
Thank you for giving the opportunity.
No, nothing. We are not doing that. Swami is doing that, and we are just enjoying the bliss. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Haryana. Thank you, Hirok. Thank you, Kote.
So we'll finish off with Samastaloka.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Yep. Sairam. And next week, same time, let you know who the speaker is. And Swami knows. I will get to know, and you will get to know subsequently. Sairam. With that, Samastalokas. I'm going to mute everyone, and then we'll do the Samastalokas. समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु 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 समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।